the work with health that I do is called Meta-Consciousness, is the system, and it incorporates some amazing teachings from German New Medicine by Dr. Hammer.
Yeah.
But we work with it in a different way, where we're looking at it's kind of a more trauma aware, trauma specialist way of understanding, like, not just from that biological level, but also the impact of trauma and how to address it.
Hello, it's Mark Attwood here. The Mark Attwood Show, Adventures of the Cosmic Suit. How's it going? Let's talk about healing, shall we? Now, regular viewers will know that I've interviewed hundreds of healers over the last 5 years, and I've been on a massive healing journey myself, and I'm still on it. I think a lot of us are, you know. I think I really went into spiritual healing and plant medicine and energy healing maybe 15, 16 years ago. I really started getting into that because medicine was not working. I was dying. Let's be frank. My real Kickstarter for me was being in intensive care on the night before 9/11 and being told by the nurse I probably wouldn't survive the night. And then I discharged myself from that hospital. And that really started my true journey towards understanding about health sovereignty and how much trauma we're all carrying. And then, of course, we've had the last 5 years, and there's a huge amount of PTSD. There's been a massive amount of spiritual attacks, psychic attacks, psychological attacks, psychological warfare. These things have caused massive strains on many of us, and I've tried to catalogue as much of that as possible. And along the way, I've lost some dear friends. Quite a few people that I've interviewed on the show didn't make it this far. And this is why I think healing is such an important thing to keep talking about. And on my travels this summer, I got recommended to go and see a man called Sam. And I was like, why should I see this fella? And I was told, well, because he's very special. He's actually a big teddy bear. I'm going to bring him on now. Is he that big? He's not that big. He's lovely. How are you doing, Sam?
I'm even bigger than I look on stage, on this camera, rather. Yeah, I'm good, thanks. It's great to see you. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much for asking. Yeah, you and me, we did some EFT tapping a while back, and I just tell the audience, I came across EFT. I don't remember the first time. It was probably about 12 years ago at a Hay House conference. I think it was Christiane Northrup's daughter was on stage. I don't know if it was her or a brother, but one of them had something to do with EFT. And then I had a friend come to see me in Morocco once, and she was, if you're watching Malian, the Germans bombed our chippy. Now, and she was doing all this, and I was so stressed at the time, I didn't, excuse the pun, but I didn't tap into it. And because I'm that kind of character. I'm like, I've got to sit here and do what? Anyway, I met Sam. He took me through a process, and then I slept for 13 hours afterwards. And then I had quite a few days of like I call it integration.
Yeah.
Do you want to explain let's talk about that first, Sam. What is that process that you put me through?
So the process, well, so how I work, I broadly use tapping techniques, which the most well-known one is EFT, and I include lots of other different ways of working with it, and it's very intuitive the way that I work. But I incorporate EFT tapping, some processes called matrix reimprinting, which are about still using tapping techniques, but it takes you deeper, sort of get into your past, and you actually visit memories from your past and work with your younger self. Some people might say inner child, but it can also be younger adult selves as well, to help them not to change the memories as such, because what's happened has happened and we have to keep it real, but to help them to, like, during these times, beliefs get laid down and emotional, we have small traumatic events, big traumatic events, and it ends up with sort of emotions being either stuck or you just becoming more like easily triggered into specific emotions. And with that, there's belief systems get laid down, like all the classics, like I'm not good enough, I'm unlovable, this is too dangerous for me, whatever, and so these can then build and build over time. And with these processes, we go in and actually help the younger self to see them differently. And this, although we call it the younger self, from the perspective of the subconscious, everything is present moment, and all these younger selves are still in there, like pulling the strings behind the scenes. So things you're not even aware of that happened from when you were 5 years old or 25 years old, or even really very early on, in the womb, or even possibly before that, can still be like subtly influencing or powerfully influencing your beliefs, so that you might not take action or be held back from doing something, might get activated into things like panic attacks, all sorts of physical and mental and emotional symptoms can come up from these things. And what we do is we go in and basically with the tapping, there's so much we can talk about this, but broadly I'll just say tapping now, and with the visualization of going back and supporting these younger selves, you can gently but very effectively start to discharge the effect that this is having on you, and really start having big shifts in your life. Some people experience them very powerfully emotionally, for others it's more subtle and they come in over time, but it has a very profound effect on your on your body, your nervous system, and your mind, really. And also, if you're looking at what you're actually creating and what's happening around you, manifestation, you start to experience different things as well. So you experienced, like you said, you had a really very deep night's sleep, and then which is, so that's a great thing to happen, and it's quite common, because if you were in a state where you were sort of quite emotionally high, quite stressed perhaps, then you're not sleeping so well. And what this enables is your body to actually go into more of a restorative, we call it as a parasympathetic nervous system being more activated, which puts you more into this rest and digest healing stage. And so, good sleep is a great sign of that happening. And then, and like you say, the integration, which is really bringing all these different parts of you that might have been encountered during these times back in like probably experienced quite gently, but still very effectively. Then, it does. Integration is a great word because it implies wholeness, and it's bringing you back to more wholeness, being more in alignment with who you are, and living more as yourself, rather than, so gently breaking conditioning, really, and being able to be more yourself and start to create even more of yourself out in the world.
So, that's a great explanation. I mean, there's kind of two sides to that you brought up there. One is the traumatic things from the past in your own life, but the other one is programming. And releasing both of them allows you to become your authentic self. Where are we at? Because you're doing this with people all the time. Is there more programming that you're undoing? Is there more trauma release that you're undoing at the moment?
So they're pretty much the same thing, in fact. And programming, not all programming is bad, because like we are born like information sponges, just ready to learn And so we learn a lot through everything that we observe, everything we experience in life. And in our very early years, we're picking up what's going on all around us and learning our rules for living very, very quickly. And, a lot of what we pick up from, what most people pick up from their parents, what most people pick up from their immediate surroundings, a lot of it's useful. So we can't just say all programming is bad, but I know the sort of programming you are referring to, of course, here. And then that widens out. And so between the ages of 0 and 7, roughly, we take everything literally. Whatever we're picking up, it means exactly as we sensed it in that time. And so we're very programmable at that time. And core beliefs are really laid down during those times, and even before, potentially in the womb as well, and possibly even from experiences before that, ancestral patterns, these kind of things. But but then, of course, when we talk about trauma is the effect on the body of shocking events, basically. And they can be very small things, which you wouldn't even as an adult consider to be traumatic. But as a 3-year-old, 4-year-old, 5-year-old child, or even an older child beyond that age 7, these have a deep meaning to you. So it's actually, if people have had like big, strong traumatic events happen to them, these are quite easy to identify. And, not that you would just go steamrolling straight in and work with them straight away. If they're big things, you work very gently with these things to make sure that you're not actually reactivating things too quickly or anything like that. But there's the small things are the ones which actually can have a big impact on the belief system, and but they're not so easy to find. And as an adult, you wouldn't even notice that something had happened. So just very quickly, one of mine, something that I found in my nearly 12 years ago now, when I was quite early in this role. I had some sessions and I was looking at my not necessarily a bad thing, anti-authoritarian tendencies. But and not to get rid of them, because it's a strong part of who I am, but just to explore and understand and see where they might be holding me back. And what it actually came back to during the sessions, I got back to being on a school ski trip and basically being grounded on the last night and not being able to go out and enjoy myself. And that was about age 14 or 15, I think that happened. And then, but because what happens is, like with the integration, the doors to healing are open once something's been opened here, and things keep happening. So about 2 or 3 nights later, I woke up really angry, and I just remembered that the dinner lady at my school wouldn't let me have a second helping of lime jelly. And and that was my favorite thing. And I hadn't eaten my mashed potato. And so I had this authority figure stamping on me with that awful traumatic event there. But for a 5-year-old, it was the root, or if maybe there's even a root further back, but it was like a seed of a disempowering anti-authoritarian sort of view that I had. So that just shows these little things can really affect in the sort of individual, like, limiting beliefs. But then with the programming, of course, we have like societal programming, we've got the cultural programming, we've got the there's global, there's religious programming that happens. And not all of these things are even bad, but there are, a lot of it, as we've seen, a lot of the programming is also trauma based, because it uses a lot of, basically, the control mechanisms of society are blame, shame, guilt, and fear. And this is even mirrored for many of us in the smaller scale, like parents and grandparents, even if they're mostly loving, they've still been wired to use these sorts of mechanisms. So it's happening right from the top levels, like big messages, like stay 6 feet away or you're going to kill your granny, stay, I wear my mask for you, you wear your mask for me, all these kind of things. They're all sort of guilt and shame-based programming, fear in there as well. But it's also those things happened like at family levels. Like you see, even not very loving parents might say things like, you should be ashamed of yourself or don't show off. And these things. So they're really endemic here. And they're happening at that fractal way of at the big level and also right down to the individual.
So what are the mechanics of the tapping? What is that actually doing? Because do you want to give us an example? Do you want to show everybody where you tap?
Yeah, sure. I'll show you. What I just want to say is like you can of course tap along, but don't anyone who's doing that is doing it purely under their own steam because we don't know what they've got going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what you're essentially doing is you're tapping on acupuncture points. So instead of needles, you're just tapping on specific acupuncture points in the meridian system. And at the same time as you're doing this, at a most basic level, you're focusing on emotion. So feelings in the body. Not everyone can connect easily to feelings, in which case you can connect more to visual things like memories or thoughts about something. Like an example might be, I can't make money in the current business environment or whatever, that kind of thing. Or, can't make any friends. So current stuff going on, but ideally you're noticing feelings coming up in the body, and then you like start to create size, shape, color, location of the feelings. And so you've got actually something tangible to look at and explore while you're doing this tapping on the acupuncture points. And then from that point, you can use these, you can sort of piggyback on these emotions back, and it can actually help you find specific memories which led to these emotions being embodied in you. And then with that, you can then either with EFT, there's something called the movie technique where you create a movie of the event and you walk through it while tapping all of the emotion down from that. And it, although it doesn't change the event, it releases what you've suppressed, what's stuck, what you've held on to, so that you can put it in the past behind you. Or there's, like we talked about, the matrix reimprinting, where you can actually, you go a step further, and it's like you're your adult self now, or you as you are now, going in to help your younger self to, again, release the emotional charge from whatever happened, but then start to notice how it could be different and change the beliefs around it. They can also go forwards in time, like because time's not really linear. It's all happening at once, or there's that opportunity to look at it that way. You can go forwards, and you can look at fears you've got of the future and these kind of things, and then bring that to the now, and then go back and find what might have caused that. Or you can tap on your imagined future doom and gloom scenarios and release the energy from that as well. And there's many, many more ways you can tap on stuff happening in the now. But yeah, essentially it's combining like ancient Chinese acupressure methodology with sort of more modern psychological techniques, and the two of them work beautifully together. It's become very popular now. It's very well known. But when even 12, 13 years ago, when I got into it, it was very woo-woo because it was still very on the fringe. But there's been a lot of research now showing the effect it has on the brain and actually soothing the amygdala and hippocampus, taking people into being able to activate higher brain function. So making more objective decisions and choices. Having choice is very important here. You've got a choice over what happens rather than just being reactive.
Yeah, that's a big distinction.
Mm.
Yeah. So how did Sam get into tapping? Because you weren't born as a tapping expert. What's your story?
So there was a few things that got me down into this route, because I always I had some experiences when I was young and I think like a lot of us have, of like questioning whether everything's real and what's actually going on, and seeing things differently. And then I went through my education, went to university, and I imagined that I was going to leave university and get a some sort of cool, fun job of some sort. But instead, I ended up in financial services, basically working, which ultimately, but it was all right. People were okay, and it supported my lifestyle. And so, I went into this, but I was in this sort of, I guess, a flat, normal way of life. And I think we talked about this in the past, but I actually the company I worked for was called Standard Life.
Yeah, so that's why I was laughing, because I know
Yeah.
you, and the idea of you being a financial services advisor just actually makes me laugh, because you're such an empathic healer. It's like it just kind of tickles me, because I told you I worked in a firm of IFA 26 years ago as well. So it's actually not a bad job. I mean, they're nice people, because they're trying to help people, but within the system. But they do help people in a big way, actually.
I agree. Yeah.
Because most people have no idea about finances, which is why somebody coming along explaining how a pension actually works and advising where to put money is a good thing within the system. But it still makes me laugh that you were, so you're in this 3D life and you got the money coming in, but you presumably you started it, a lot of people like us, it kind of wears you down over time, doesn't it?
Yeah, and when I actually, on a day-to-day basis, I was fine, but when I looked at it, it was just like, ugh. And I actually got made redundant from Standard Life, and I was so happy. It was fantastic, and I was like, I'm going to go and train as an acupuncturist. And I had no idea why. I'd never had acupuncture at this time. I just felt
you never had it.
No, at that time I'd never had it.
So why did you want to do it if you'd never even had it?
Well, I'd been traveling. I'd had a little break and gone traveling, and I trained in Reiki, and I was really interested in that. And I thought I would never go back to financial services, but then I didn't get hit by this bolt of inspiration. I went and I got into. I went back. I got back to England. I became a gardener, and
Brilliant.
I loved that, but I didn't really understand how I could make it work. So I ended up back in financial services. And like you said, there's nice people, you're helping people, but it just always was in my heart that I was going to do something else. Although it's funny I say heart, because I got made redundant and I was like, right, acupuncture, I was interested in it. I'd started looking into courses. They were very long with the amount of time I could take while I was also full-time employed, etc. But then getting made redundant, I was ready to do something like that, and then my friend came up with this idea of becoming IFAs, independent financial advisors, and my heart went, but my mind went, oh, that seems like a good, reasonable idea. And so I ended up in that. And again, nice people. We actually had quite some good times. But the things that really, and I liked the part about helping people. And we were pretty ethical. We actually studied something called life planning, which was a Buddhist teacher who was also a financial advisor, who was coming up with these great, really focusing on like clients, what they really wanted deep inside, rather than just looking at how much money you could make them in their pension and that kind of thing. So it was nice, but there was still the whole thing of, oh, we can't actually always recommend something that's really good, because what was called the Financial Services Authority wants people into bank products and all the big products that are out there.
There's constantly a fight between the Financial Services Authority and the IFAs. I remember that.
Exactly. Yeah.
They strangleholded it. And it's kind of like the guys that created the financial products would come to the business and say, pitch it to an IFA firm, because that was a route to market, because you guys had the relationships with the people that they couldn't get through any other kind of marketing. And I remember the guys would sit there and go, well, this doesn't really fit, or this, we have to do it this way because the Financial Services Authority have said this. And it was constantly this battle going on. So I remember that happening.
Yeah, that was exactly what it was like. And in the end, and it really wore me down. And I was kind of getting burnt out, self-medicating a lot, as one does. And and it was at this time, my wife and I were hoping to have children, and we were trying for a while and nothing happened. And so I just went and got tested, and it came back that I was considered to be extremely subfertile, and it would be almost impossible for me to have children naturally. It could happen, but it would be through invasive processes.
That must have been a big blow. Sorry to interrupt the show, but I'm here in my car on a beautiful sunny day in lovely Ireland, and I just wanted to say to regular viewers of my show, you'll know that over the last 5 years I've tested probably over 1,000 different health products and modalities to try to get us through the COVID psyop, but also to help us enhance our longevity towards health sovereignty. Now, out of all the things that I've tested, there are a number of things that I use on a daily basis. And for the last 3 years, you will never see me without one of these on the back of my neck. I can't actually, if you can see it there, it's on the back of my neck. This is a Lifewave X39 patch. Well, this is actually not a patch. This is the sleeve that it comes in. This is an X39 patch, okay? This thing, you just stick on the back of your neck. And what it does is it reflects the light coming from inside your body back inside your body. So it reflects the light coming out of you back into you, but at a frequency that achieves a certain thing. They have a large range of patches that do different things, from helping you sleep better to helping you recover from pain or from exercise pain. This one in particular, the X39, is my standard thing that I wear every day. And the reason for that is because this stimulates the production inside your body of copper peptides. And copper peptides in turn stimulate stem cells. Now, I am 56 this year, and I've got more energy than my teenage kids who I'm on the way to pick up. Why is that? Well, structured clean water is part of that. A mainly carnivore diet is part of that. I do have access to things like hyperbaric oxygen and red light therapy at our healing center at live5dhealth.com, but actually I don't use them very often because I'm a workaholic. But these patches have not left my neck since I first discovered them in 2022. And I am convinced that my eyesight is better, my teeth are stronger, my arthritis has disappeared, my hair is thicker and longer. Look, there's a ponytail here. Sex drive is better. So many things are better, and I'm convinced it's because of these. If you're not convinced by me, go to theMarkAttwoodShow.com and search under Lifewave or stem cells. You'll see that I've done numerous interviews with numerous people giving their testimonies about Lifewave patches from all over the world. So go and have a look at those if you're not convinced. I'm going to put some QR codes on the screen. One is for the Lifewave patches themselves, which you can go and get online immediately. They are not the cheapest thing in the world. I do think they're actually less than a cup of coffee a day if you wore one a day. But and I understand that doesn't stretch everybody's budget, but they also represent an amazing sovereign business opportunity. you can get paid for recommending these. If you try the patches and you sign up to the other QR code, which is the business opportunity page, that will put you in touch with Cheryl. Cheryl works with me in the States, and she will talk you through the process and show you how to do it. All you've got to do is share a link and give your testimony. This is the way we bypass Google, we bypass press, national TV, mainstream media to grow this business, which is currently $1 billion business. It has grown leaps and bounds since 2020 because of the need of people like us who are awake, who want to sustain themselves and get through this time period so that we can get through to ascension in one piece. That's what it's all about. Freeze the video if you need to get onto the QR codes. Go to those links now. That's all for now. I hope you enjoy this message and you enjoy Lifewave, and I'll see you soon. Enjoy the show. Back to me in the studio.
Well, it was a shock, and all the why me, how could this happen to me, and all those down things came about. And then after a weekend of being really miserable, I decided to explore acupuncture because I'd already had that intention of it. And then I got put in touch with a great herbalist who was also an acupuncturist. And I did a series of sessions with him. Then, and after 3 months, I went and got tested again. And because, of course, I was tunnel vision at this time, I wasn't looking in the peripheral open way, but I got my results back, and the problem still existed. Like, I still had 66% anti-sperm antibodies. And that was all I saw, and I was gutted. But even the doctor was saying, actually, you're not subfertile anymore because this is boosted. You're in we wouldn't consider you infertile anymore. And actually 1 month later, my son was conceived.
Brilliant.
So yeah, so I was amazed to find that out. And so that was 1 month after it had happened. Now it's like a mini niche of mine to work with people who are trying to have children, and often 1 month after we finish working together is that they contact me to say, yeah, we're having a baby as well.
Wow.
So I think I've had that happen 5 times now over the years. That's really great.
Yeah. That's really fulfilling, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, it's amazing. And yeah, so then my son came along, and I was like, I really now got to get out of this work. I want to be there for him and experience him growing up and enjoy all of that. And I'd also heard at a sovereignty conference, because although I was doing this, I was in Walking Two Worlds at that time. I was doing the sovereignty stuff, and I was also doing still living in the financial services world. And so a lot of us have that walking in two worlds thing going on, and I heard about this tapping technique that someone was using to go into very emotional court cases and keep himself grounded and calm so he could represent at his best. So immediately I thought that sounds really interesting. And then I found out it was similar to acupuncture. I was like, okay, let's go. So I went and learned that. That was and then that was amazing. And that just set me off down this path. And because I already had, like I told you, I had that sort of coaching model of financial planning that we had been learning, I was able to just bring that and step in with bring the tapping and start working with people. And also by the time I'd learned Matrix Reimprinting as well, I was able to just start really, supporting people. And because of my background, I was super interested in health, but I soon found out that holistic practitioners a lot of them have got money blocks and beliefs around money. And I was at like a networking meeting where I used to live in Bristol with these holistic practitioners, and they were all talking about their money, getting clients, etc. So I started putting some workshops together, combining the two things with the, not financial services as such, but just my knowledge and understanding of that area of life with the tapping. And they were really successful, and people got a lot out of that.
This is really interesting, because I crossed those paths as well,
Mm.
because I was trying to teach like healers and spiritual healers and stuff like that, that they are abundant, and I was teaching them marketing and telling them that they should be charging money for what they're doing. They don't have to give it away for free. You can if somebody's broke, but
Yeah, sure.
charge what's right, earn a decent living, then you can heal more people. And I couldn't believe the blockages. And at the same time, I was also working with businesses, and they thought that they came to me because they thought they had fundamental marketing issues. But once I started working with them, I realized it was actually a personal issue.
Yeah,
The
spiritual stuff going on,
spiritual stuff that was blocking
yeah.
them, and I ended up becoming there was, I don't know, like a healer,
Guru.
yeah, which is hilarious when I look back on
No,
it.
not down with gurus, really, but
No,
know
not
what,
gurus,
yeah.
but you know what I mean. It was like it's like when you realize that actually it all comes back to the same thing.
Yeah.
It's quite amazing that you did that from the other angle. I do find that amusing. So what happened then?
Well, and then actually, that was very popular for a while, that workshop that I ran live in a small way, because I was just starting out, but I very much enjoyed that. I ended up a while ago, that became an online like live workshop that I haven't run for ages, but yeah, I'm noticing possibly a need for it at some point. But I got I was always interested in health because of my story with the fertility, and so I ended up going down a route of working with like both physical and psychological health conditions, and helping people to understand the root cause of why things are happening, and then understand the body's intelligence so that they can and you're not just healing with tapping with this, it's looking at the whole picture of physical things going on in people's lives, so like what they're eating, exercise, social and environmental stuff. So are they being affected by certain people, like triggering stuff from their past, that kind of thing? Or is their environment, or what they're doing, is their job causing this for them? And then looking at all the energetic, emotional, even spiritual levels of what might be leading to health symptoms, with a really important understanding that actually symptoms that we've been taught to be scared of, and that there's something going wrong in the body, most of the time it's actually showing that there's an intelligent process going on that the body's trying to adapt to, maybe getting stuck because we're domesticated now. We're not living as natural biological beings anymore. We've got, and again, like all these things, there's a good side to that as well. We've got convenience, we've got running water. Not everyone in the world, of course, but we've got things that make our lot mean we don't have many of the struggles that our ancestors had, but they do come at a price that we're no longer able to move through healing processes always. Many times we do. People get ill and then better again. That happens all the time. But sometimes people get stuck. They get something that's chronic or reaches a threshold where they end up with a serious illness or a psychological behavior pattern, which has a biological purpose, often around safety, keeping them at home, keeping them in the cave, keeping them from doing something that their subconscious is considering dangerous, but it's ruining their life, because the intelligent processes are based in biology, not in what really fits in with our lives these days. So we find the way to understand what's going on, look at all of the elements, but part that I really get involved with is releasing the triggers that are keeping people sick and stuck and unhappy in their lives.
Well, I think that's massively important. And what's funny is I'm extremely conscious, but I still let things affect me. I still suffer from my own personality that makes me work too hard. I've not looked, you know, in the last month, I've really taken care of myself. But previous to that, I was eating badly, not sleeping, drinking too much. It was all slipped back in again. And it's like you have to keep reminding yourself. I mean, how do you keep yourself in good shape? Is it because you're constantly reminded because you're helping people all the time, or is it because I seem to remember you telling me that when you first did tapping yourself on for you, that you didn't quite get the response that feeling immediately, but you saw the effects on others, which kept you going, and then you had a revelation. Is that what have I recollected?
Yeah, that's right. Like so, and that's been a great gift from tapping. Is like many people in our society, we're conditioned to be very logical, aren't we? And use your mind to work things out and not pay attention so much to the body. Men even more so, but women also have this happening to them. And what, you know, while the mind is a great and useful tool, it's also really important to be able to connect to the intuition and the emotions. But like many guys, I was cut off at the neck emotionally. I did feel I wasn't a complete robot, but I was, you know, I had the acceptable male emotions: anger, depression. No, but I did. I know I was feeling, but I was more. I was much more in my head. I was much more in my head, and initially tapping, like it worked for me after the fact. Like you can, and this still works for people who are like this. You can use it and just go with the process and explore the thoughts, even if you can't connect to deep emotions. And then actually you look back at what's changed over the last 6 months, a year, 2 years, and you see it's happened because I did this. And that's really cool. But the other real gift for me is it enabled me to connect more deeply into my body and into my emotions and that kind of thing. And yeah, now, so I keep myself, I'm actually really good physical health at the moment. I'm doing a lot of exercise. I eat well anyway, but I don't limit myself or restrict myself if I want something that may not be considered to be healthy or something like that. Because if you think about it, what happens when you restrict yourself and limit yourself from having something that you enjoy? Not you should do it all the time. Here I am with that should word, which is one of the conditioning words. But if you are, you know, if you want to have some wine or some chocolates or whatever, but you're forcing yourself not to, then you're creating stress hormones in your body doing that. And it's counterintuitive to actually being healthy. So, yeah, but I have got, you know, like over the last few years, I have actually been working on quite a few of my own symptoms. And so the work with health that I do is called Meta-Consciousness, is the system, and it incorporates some amazing teachings from German New Medicine by Dr. Hammer. But we work with it in a different way, where we're looking at it's kind of a more trauma aware, trauma specialist way of understanding, like, not just from that biological level, but also the impact of trauma and how to address it. And I started learning this in around the EFT. I started in 2011. 2012, I started my practice. 2014, 15, I started doing the Meta-Consciousness. And but then I had some amazing results with clients. It was wonderful to see people. And I'm not healing anyone. That's really key. They are healing themselves through activating their own potential and understanding. And whether, you know, some people want to do it purely holistically, or some people are doing a combination of medical and this kind of work, and whatever works for that person is great. But I had not really experienced needing anything until until a few years ago. And the first thing was I started going long-sighted, and we put that down to age, don't we?
Yeah.
So I'm getting old, and I was reading a back of a tin in the supermarket, and I realised that my hand was out here. I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
Christ.
You're making me feel guilty for wearing these because I've been working on my eyesight, and I'm still putting them on. Yeah.
There you go. I'm using guilt to make you do something about it. Just like society. Yeah. So I call it the blame, shame, guilt game, where everyone's involved.
Yeah.
With it.
Pretty much.
Yeah. But I was actually able through using tapping techniques and some also with plant medicine and combination of these things, I got my eyesight back to I can't say it's 100% as good as it was, but it is as good as it was. The only thing is it's a bit slower focusing than it used to be. But yeah, now, I was reading your book the other night, and I'm just reading, and it's very small print, but I was just reading that in a normal position. Whereas like when this all happened, I was way out there. So just in terms of aging, because of course we age and things happen. But my suggestion on this is that what it is that actually some people age and they're super fit. You get the they're living to 90, 95, 100, still drinking, smoking whiskey, swearing all the time, whatever. But you get all these different.
Like my granddad.
Yeah, exactly. but and they never gets ill. So why do some people develop all these chronic conditions, symptoms, and others don't? And what I've realized, or my belief on this, is that basically it's an accumulation of small conflicts over time, gradually reaching thresholds that lead to symptoms manifesting. And so, yeah, while we're all going to experience the march of time ultimately, nonetheless, you don't have to just, you can explore these things and potentially gain some resolution and relief and improve these so-called aging symptoms so that they affect you less. I can see that, over time, of course, these things are still going to happen, but you can build your vitality, and release these conflicts, release the stress. Everyone's focused on some very good things like supplements, what you eat, water. All these things are very important. But there's not so much focus when you're looking at the sort of the effect of aging and symptoms on the emotional and the stress, and actually releasing those things to support you in just maintaining a good vitality, still being connected to your purpose and enjoyment of life. And that's super important for me as well. Enjoyment is, I think, is really key. If things are too serious, then seriousness is almost a symptom in its own right. In my opinion,
I agree.
Sometimes you have to be serious about things, but if you can approach life with lightness, I think that's really important.
Have you ever come across Heyokas?
Across what? Sorry,
Heyokas.
No,
they're like people. I interviewed one about 5 years ago. They're people that just make you laugh, and it's the best. It's the best medicine. And I know you've got a great sense of humor, but you've put together a free tapping course for people, and people can work with you remotely, can't they?
Yeah, that's right. Yes.
I'll put the links on the screen there. tmas.tv/Sam. That if you want to work with Sam, but if you want to get his free tapping course, go to tmas.tv/Sam's tapping course. I'll put those links below the video. Awesome. How are you able to work with people remotely, Sam?
Well, it would just be a conversation like this. And the thing about tapping is it's not me tapping on you. You mirror the tapping and you learn the tapping for yourself. So it's really actually empowering for the individual, because they're not just reliant on sessions for their healing to happen. They actually become their own self-healing organism by learning the processes to activate it, which they can do in between or continuing long after the sessions. So whether we were sat together you'd be mirroring the tapping mostly. Some, you know, if I am face to face with someone, then we can tap. I can tap on them, but yeah, they're just tapping on a Zoom call basically, and yeah, and so it just works exactly the same as if you're face to face with someone. What I like especially about the working remotely like that is that you're not just limited by who's in your geographical area. You can work with the practitioner that you really resonate with, that feels good to work with, and who might have a speciality in the area that you want to work on as well.
Yeah, well, that's why I wanted to interview you, because you'd had such a great effect on me, and you came recommended anyway. And I think finding great healers is you know, there's a lot of great healers in the world, but there's some really good ones, and I think you've just got a very special gift that I wanted to share with my audience. But
oh, thanks, that's awesome.
Yeah, well, it's true. And what I wanted to ask you as well is that in all these years of like healing, working in the healing space, and obviously it's changed you as a man in a very positive way, and giving you great amounts of insights into humanity, right? Because you get people with small problems and really big problems, right?
Absolutely.
Because you told me about some of the cases that you've actually dealt with, and some of those things are quite difficult to deal with, aren't they?
They are, yes. That's one of the beauties of tapping, is that because if I'm working with someone, I'm tapping as well. People can be telling me awful stuff that's happened to them, and a lot of people who are in the healing world do get affected.
They take it on.
They take it on,
Yeah.
but with tapping, it's like you are releasing it as you hear it. So I never personally get worn out or drained by what's going on for people. I'm there and I'm able to just purely be there for them, because the tapping is stopping me from having to, you know, so of course it affects me sometimes, because some of the things people have been through are just unbelievable. I mean, we know they're happening because, you know, our understanding of the world and some of the things that are happening at certain levels. But, you know, through tapping, yeah, so it's great. And I just encourage like any other health practitioners out there, if you are finding that you are getting drained, or the energy from what your clients are telling you, or you're picking up from them as you're working with them, actually it's great even to just learn tapping for yourself, just to be able to start to discharge some of that after you've worked with them or whatever. If you are tapping while you work, you're clearing it. It's not even landing on you. It's like your Teflon in those cases. Yeah.
Which is brilliant. I mean, that's like a protection built in, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not like a shield protection. Like you're processing it, so that's really healing as well.
So I'll just show you that's Sam's free tapping course. If you want to join that,
Those are some of the tapping points there.
Yeah,
magically highlighted.
I thought that was just you glitzing yourself up. Yeah, it makes sense. And working with Sam is as easy as going to the link on there, but I'll just show you what that page looks like, so you recognize it. And there it is. There he is. That's brilliant. And
same shirt. Yeah.
Well, I don't think anybody had noticed till you pointed it out.
I also own other shirts. Yeah.
You got 10 of the same shirt in the job lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have time to choose what I'm wearing during the day, so I just got this Finding Nemo number 10 times.
So I was going to ask you, like, you know, obviously we know what happened 5 years ago, and what I think is really powerful about the kind of work that you're doing is that every time you have a positive effect on somebody, it actually shifts consciousness around them as well, right?
Yes.
Not just their own. Have you got any stories where you've noticed this, seen this positive things for people to hear from someone like you about the way you see consciousness shifting at the moment?
Yeah, so I've got a beautiful example. Someone in my local community, a Spanish woman, who's a very dear friend of mine. She was terribly affected at the start of the lockdowns and everything by the fear and the totalitarian and like we call it the police on the street and that whole authoritarianism thing happening. And she did, and I actually ran a little group session, and she came to that, and she realized through the work that this wasn't her fear. This was ancestral from, because Spain not so long ago had Franco, a dictator who was there since the Second World War, and he didn't. The only reason that he's no longer here in power is that he died, basically. And then the new constitution came and everything, but her grandparents and her parents experienced that. And so she would have heard stories, but she's also picked up epigenetically the ancestral pattern of fear of authority. And she was able to release that. And then from that point, she became an absolute powerhouse of being able to stand up and lovingly and caringly do her bit to create a better world. So, that was just, a really wonderful thing that happened, that I was able to see, a ripple effect very strongly happen from, and that was just from her taking part in a group session, maybe 10 minutes working with me.
Well, that's brilliant. And everybody needs this. This is the kind of thing that should be taught to kids in school, though, isn't it?
Of course. Yeah.
Really?
Some schools have done it, and I've got friends who are taking it into schools. And so it's great. It's great for children. You can absolutely tap with your children, and you don't have. And the beautiful thing about tapping with children is that it hasn't all settled on them yet.
Yeah.
So you don't have to go digging. You can work with what's there present for them now and help them to release stuff in a few minutes. And you don't have to go super heavy with the language. You can just get them to tap. My children go through loving and hating tapping, because sometimes they want to rant and rage and and all those things. But they do use it, and lots of children find it very valuable. And once children get past about age 12, they can start doing the deeper work with matrix reimprinting, going back into memories and things like that as well. So,
well, the matrix reimprinting is really powerful stuff as well, because I call it clinging to the side of the swimming pool.
Right. Yes.
When you're out there discussing ideas about consciousness and spirituality and standing in your power. I mean, we've done it a lot through this show, teaching people about, you mentioned earlier about sovereignty and, standing in your power in common law and natural law and all of that does. And in fact, I did a video about it, I think this morning, about not paying your TV license in the UK. 700,000 people apparently have, in the last year alone, refused to pay their TV license because they're just sick of the lies and the propaganda coming out of the BBC. They realize it's a regressive tax. They realize that they're funding a kind of totalitarian system that propaganda are, and they are finally it sounds like a small thing, just saying I'm not going to pay a TV, but it's a big thing actually, because you're stepping outside of the system, which you and I were hoping people would do this 15 years ago, and now it's starting to happen. So
very strongly, I think. Yeah,
really, it's like I don't think it's going to stop. This is just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. But the bit I was saying about clinging to the side of the pool, it's like, I've seen people come to events that I've done and other people have done, or go to courses and doing but then they learn it and then they stay in their safe zone. But there is no safe zone. It's all in the mind, isn't it?
Well, of course, so it's the comfort zone, isn't it? And I think a lot of people can get they learn this stuff and they get scared and they start seeing all the doom and gloom and becoming obsessed with the fear side of the story. Whereas actually, we're powerful creators, and we've all got, there's different ways that we're geared up to create. people could look into human design to find that out about themselves, as well, and how their intuition and their creativity can actually manifest in the world. Astrology, there's many different ways that people can find out about themselves and how they can start creating things in the world. But really, you're here to shine, and you have a choice to embody yourself more. And like, the more conformity comes along, the more individual you can become, the more you can stand for who you are. And because after all, you are, you're here for an experience to play your part in whatever's going on here. And so, like, just something that comes up so often is people with me, they go back to memories where they didn't fit in. And like, not fitting in is actually great, because what are you fitting in with? But it's another conditioning thing as well. But you're not here to fit in. You're actually your opportunity to create a life that's exciting, inspiring, beautiful for you, and hopefully and potentially guides and supports other people as well, or does something good for everybody, or even a few people, comes from you being yourself rather than doing what's already been done.
100%. I like the optimism. That's very in tune with me. But you did mention human design there, and you did a little chart for me, and you said I was what did you call me? A splendid.
It's a projector.
Splenic.
Yeah. Splenic projector. Yeah.
So I'm projecting from my splendid. So I'm projecting from my spleen. Is that what that is?
Well, no. It's a projector is a type of people who it really depends. You've got how you to interact with the world, and this is another way of really being in tune with your body rather than what the mind's telling you. The mind is a tool for which you can bring authority out into the world, but your way to actually make decisions and move forwards in your life is actually from your body. And as a splenic individual, the splenic means that you just have this very quick survival based knowledge of, and it just comes from the body of whether to make a decision or not. Now, as a projector, there's also it's not that you have to do this with everything, but it's best when you feel invited, or you receive an invitation, which could come from someone asking you to do something, or you experiencing something that feels like an invitation to you, and responding to it and making your decision accordingly. Now, it's a huge subject, human design.
Well, we could do another show about that, because it is fascinating. And I know that a lot of people, I did have a human design reading done about 15 years ago. But again, I was a different person. I was not as evolved then as I am now, and I wasn't as open or as relaxed. I mean, I was doing tapping the other day in the car, and I'm like, oh, I'm starting to do this now. This is a good thing, because my body.
Awesome. Yeah.
Because when you're more in tune with your body kind of tells you what it wants you to do.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it just happens, and like, helpful habits start to appear rather than limiting ones,
harmful ones, or even because
harmful or limiting or whatever. Yes. So
brilliant. So to round off the hour, how are you feeling about the future?
Well, I feel like I'm very excited and optimistic about the future. Everything that happened, while there were some challenges there, actually it has really brought people to this awareness that they have to make this choice of, are they going to live as themselves, or are they going to not make no choice and just end up gradually conform, or even an active choice to just go along with everything that is being imposed, and moving more towards that totalitarian thing. Personally, I feel that we've already reached a tipping point. It doesn't mean it's over yet, but life's very exciting. I think that whatever, just if you are actually living in alignment with yourself, creating something that resonates with you, and it doesn't mean everyone's got to just leave their jobs or whatever, because some people might feel very aligned with the job that they're doing, and that's completely fine. But yeah, if, you're going to have a much better experience, and yeah, it's just going to add to this. Yeah, basically just the world. Yeah, we're all moving towards this world that I believe is going to be definitely very interesting. And I guess the reality is we don't know, but it's going to be enjoyable experiencing it, and moving forwards towards it.
Yeah, brilliant. That reminds me of the 1990 World Cup, where they interviewed this Irish fellow after the Irish had just got to the quarterfinals, and they said, "And where are you going?" "I don't know where we're going, but I know this: we're going far."
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because we're limited by our beliefs about what's possible. There could be so much more amazing than that, ultimately.
Well, that's a beautiful way to end it. Sam Neffendorf, thank you for joining me. Thanks, everybody, for watching, and I'll see you again soon.
Great to be here. Lots of love.
Are you looking for amazing retreats in Ireland?
Let us help you become the best version of you in a matter of days.
Ireland is a wonderful place to retreat from the world and find some inner peace.
It is a deeply historic and spiritual country, and nothing can inspire the soul more than the stunning west of Ireland.
We have chosen the historic town of Boyle in County Roscommon to build our state-of-the-art clinic, Live 5D Health, nestled along the beautiful Boyle River.
Our centre combines a range of therapies that cannot be found under one roof anywhere else in Ireland.
These therapies need to be experienced on a daily basis over a number of days to truly feel the incredible, powerful effects.
So we have put together a fabulous package for people from across the world who are looking to truly reinvigorate their health and mental well-being. Full details of itineraries, dates and costs can be found when you join our retreats email waiting list on live5dhealth.com. Our total wellness retreats use the stunning Frybrook House, only a 2-minute walk across the bridge from our centre, as your base for a range of daily therapies in our EMF protected and energetically harmonious centre.
Our activities and therapies include a wide range of truly healthy breakfast, lunch and dinner options provided by Frybrook House and Boyle's best chefs, under our strict guidance on the provenance of ingredients and their nutritional value.
A daily morning yoga session.
Red light therapy in the most advanced red light bed in Ireland to activate the mitochondria in your cells, help weight loss, reverse aging, stimulate collagen and relax every cell.
Pulsed electromagnetic field therapy to harmonize your electromagnetic field, strengthen your cell walls and stimulate circulation and healing.
Hyperbaric oxygen therapy or exercise with oxygen therapy to detoxify and feed your cells with this essential healing nutrient on a level you've never experienced before.
A session in our luxury sauna overlooking the Boyle River.
The world's cleanest water steam room. Our water is vigorously cleaned and harmonized with nature.
Immersive light and sound therapies, including the only Roxiva and soundbed combination in Ireland, aided by the only holographic sound system in Ireland. Has to be experienced to be believed.
Quantum healing in our Orinoco healing pod. Profound spiritual experiences await you here, especially if you are an experienced meditator, but also amazing if you are not.
Daily hydrogen and Brown's gas sessions to help your body rejuvenate itself with the fundamental building blocks of the universe.
Provision of clean, structured and mineralized hydrogen water for you to consume throughout the retreat, with the inclusion of a hamper containing our best supplements.
A final night dinner with our founders, Mark Attwood and Gary Keeley, and the Live 5D team at a stunning Irish castle.
These treatments are all well-established foundations, especially if you are chronically ill
or just want to enhance your being and give your body and soul the best treat you could possibly give it.
There is a lot of information on our website, about all of them, so we do encourage you to look around and do your own research on the benefits before applying to come on a retreat with us.
They are also cumulative. That is, if you experience them over multiple days, the effects are enhanced.
Of course, we're not only offering these incredible therapies on our retreats.
We want you to have a fully immersive Irish experience as we are nestled in and amongst some of the most incredible sacred sites and landscapes on Earth.
Many know of Ireland's mystical past, being connected to Egypt, Atlantis and Lemuria.
And our centre is only a few minutes from the wild Atlantic coast,
Queen Maev's tomb,
the mystical and powerful Carrickeel,
and the caves of Kesh, among many other places of great interest.
We will make excursions to many of these on your visit, as well as a choice from some of these local delights.
A seaweed bath in the coastal town of Inishgrone. Built in 1912, these traditional seaweed baths are famous for their high concentration of iodine, which relieves all sorts of ailments from arthritis to rheumatism.
A seaside sauna and sea swim at Ross's Point. Our sauna is fabulous, but we will also take you to the charming and picturesque town of Ross's Point, where you will be able to swim safely in the sea, set against the spectacular backdrop of Benbulben.
A stunning canoe trip along the rivers of County Sligo. Very gentle exercise where you will see how the rivers of Ireland can be like the rivers of Africa, with the almost guaranteed inclusion of kingfishers.
A flight in a light aircraft across the township of Boyle, where you will experience the local lakes and mountains from a unique perspective.
A boat tour of Lough Key, our local lake which features multiple islands, a castle in the lake frequented by W.B. Yeats, an alleged interdimensional portal, and many tales of UFO sightings. Trips to the local organic markets and farms, a traditional Irish music evening in a thatched pub, a lunch boat tour on the mighty River Shannon. Our retreats run throughout the seasons of the year and are strictly limited in numbers.
So please fill out the form on live5dhealth.com today and get on the waiting list.
Are you spiritually protected? Are you wearing the armor of God? Are you prepared against the principalities of darkness that currently wreak havoc in our world? Spiritual warfare is a very real thing. Weapons of Mass Protection is the explosive and practical 5-star best-selling book from authors Abby Wynn and Mark Attwood, who both agree that humanity is in the midst of the biggest spiritual awakening in human history. If you feel like things ain't what they seem, if you feel you are under attack, get your weapons ready now. Weapons of Mass Protection. Practical tools for spiritual warfare. Out now.